the man who started the world's longest party. What if the longest party in the world wasn't in Ibiza or Las Vegas? What if it started right here on a remote beach in India with a lone DJ who wasn't just playing records but was trying to talk to God? This is the story of a global counterculture, a new kind of music born from scratch, and a party that in many ways has never really stopped. It's the story of how one man's spiritual quest accidentally sparked a worldwide movement. To get how a party in India changed the world, you first have to understand why the party in America had to end. Our story kicks off not on a sun-drenched beach, but in the foggy, vibrant streets of 1960s San Francisco. This was the epicenter of a revolution, a cultural explosion of peace, love, and psychedelic rock. In the heart of it all, in the Haight-Ashbury district, was a young man named Gilbert Levy. Born in 1951, he was an original hippie, living and breathing the seismic shifts of the era. He wasn't just on the sidelines, he was in the thick of it, working with freak collectives like the Family Dog and rubbing shoulders with the gods of acid rock, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, the Grateful Dead. This was a time of incredible hope, a belief that music, consciousness, and a little chemical assistance could genuinely forge a new, more enlightened world. The air was thick with promise, and the soundtrack was a swirling mix of fuzz-tone guitars and revolutionary ideas, but utopias are fragile. By 1969, the dream was starting to curdle. The summer of love gave way to a much harsher reality. The optimism that fueled the movement began to erode, replaced by commercialism, hard drugs, and a creeping sense of disillusionment. For Gilbert Levy, the feeling was profound. He felt the San Francisco music scene, the very heart of the movement, was falling apart. The energy that had once felt so pure was dissipating. The party was ending. For those who had truly believed, there was a desperate need to find a new frontier where the original spirit could be rekindled. Feeling the decay around him, Levy decided he was out. The West had offered a dream and then snatched it away. So in 1969, he left America behind and embarked on what he later called a world dope tour. It was a journey that took him first to Amsterdam, then across North Africa and Asia. He wasn't just a tourist, he was a pilgrim, a refugee from a failed revolution, searching for a new kind of truth. His final destination, though he didn't know it yet, was India. And it was there that Gilbert Levy, the San Francisco hippie, would begin a transformation that would not only change his life, but eventually the very sound of music. Leaving the decaying dream of Haight-Ashbury behind, Gilbert Levy's journey eastward was more than a trip. It was a complete teardown of his former self. He traveled overland, a path taken by thousands of other Western seekers, and finally landed in India around 1970, just 18 years old. India was a sensory overload, a world away from the society he'd left behind. It was a place of ancient spirituality, chaotic energy, and profound wisdom, where the sacred and the profane danced together in the streets. It was here that he met the sadhus. These were wandering holy men, ascetics who had renounced the material world. With their long, matted hair and bodies often covered in ash, they lived in forests and caves, dedicating their lives to intense spiritual discipline. To a young man from California who'd watched his own culture's spiritual hopes crumble, the sadhus were the real deal. They were the other guys who had long hair and smoked dope, as he'd later recall, but their pursuit wasn't for fun, it was deeply spiritual. Fascinated, Levy started traveling with them. He journeyed across India from the holy city of Puri to Calcutta, Delhi, and finally into the majestic Himalayas. It was in the mountains of Kashmir that his life completely changed. He met his guru, Mahanta Nirmalanand Saraswati. This was the turning point. Levy, the seeker, had found his guide. He received his initiation and began the tough process of becoming a sadhu himself. He was initiated into a prominent and fearsome order of Shaivita sadhus known as the Juna Akhara, and was given a new name, Baba Mangalanand Giri. Gilbert Levy was, for all intents and purposes, gone. In his place was a Hindu holy man, an American by birth, but now a practitioner of ancient Indian yogic traditions. He lived in caves, wore the saffron robes of his order, and dedicated himself to practices like Kundalini Yoga. This wasn't a phase. The Juna Akhara is known for its intense asceticism, and becoming a Naga Baba within this order is an arduous, transformative process. He even participated in the Kumbh Mela, a mass Hindu pilgrimage that gathers millions, proving how deeply he'd integrated into this ancient world. And it was here, amidst the largest spiritual gathering on earth, that a new idea started to form. An idea that would fuse the ancient yogic practices he was learning with the music he'd loved his whole life. He began to wonder if these two paths, music and yoga, could become one powerful experience. After years of intense spiritual discipline, Baba Mangalanand Giri, formerly Gilbert Levi, returned to a place he'd visited on his first trip to India, the small coastal state of Goa. In the 1970s, Goa was a unique paradise. A former Portuguese colony, its chill atmosphere and pristine beaches had become a magnet for a global tribe of hippies and seekers who, like Gil, had journeyed east. It was a place outside of time, with no phones, no internet, and very few rules. The first parties in Goa were simple organic gatherings. Small groups would meet around campfires on the beach for full moon celebrations. Gil, a lifelong musician, would play his guitar and sing spiritual songs. People brought acoustic instruments, guitars, drums, flutes, and they would just jam all night. These weren't commercial events, they were communal happenings, a continuation of the tribal spirit of San Francisco, but in a new, more tranquil setting. As the 70s bled into the 80s, technology started to creep in. Live jam bands began to be replaced by DJs playing recorded music. At first, the music was an eclectic mix of psychedelic rock like Pink Floyd, funk, and early electronic sounds from German pioneers like Kraftwerk. DJs and travelers brought cassettes with the newest sounds from the West: industrial music, new beat, EBM, and early acid house. This is where the experiment really kicked off. In the late 80s and early 90s, Gil and a few other DJs started playing this new electronic music at all-night parties on the beaches. But they didn't just play the tracks, they mutated them. They'd take these electronic songs, strip out the vocals, loop the hypnotic parts, and mix them with psychedelic rock and spiritual mantras. The goal wasn't just to make people dance, it was to create something entirely new, something perfect for Goa's beaches. This was the birth of a new genre. It didn't have a name at first, but it had hypnotic rolling bass lines, complex melodies, and a distinctly tribal feel. This mix of outdoor electronic parties and Eastern mystical overtones came to define the whole aesthetic. For Goa Gil, this was the synthesis he'd been searching for. The party was now a ritual. He had united music and yoga. His DJ sets became legendary not just for the music but for how long they were. He pioneered marathon sets that could go for more than 24 hours. These weren't just endless playlists, they were carefully guided journeys. Gil saw himself as a techno shaman, leading the dancers through a transformative experience. He described it as a form of initiation. Like many initiations in the mystical world, we go through the dark to come to the light. At his DJ altar, he'd burn incense, place photos of his gurus, and sing a flashing Om symbol to the beat. He famously declared that dance is active meditation. He believed people could go beyond thought and unite with a cosmic consciousness through the trance dance experience. This wasn't a disco under the coconut trees, it was, in his own iconic words, an attempt at redefining the ancient tribal ritual for the 21st century. On these remote Indian beaches, a lone DJ had taken the broken pieces of a Western counterculture, fused them with ancient Eastern spirituality, and forged a new key to the divine. The sound would become known as Goa Trance. For years, this vibrant scene was Goa's little secret, a culture incubated on remote beaches among a few thousand dedicated travelers. But secrets like this don't last. Through the 80s and into the early 90s, a new wave of backpackers, especially from Europe and Israel, discovered the magic of Goa's all-night parties. They showed up as tourists and left as converts. They recorded these marathon DJ sets on cassette tapes, and these tapes became the spores of the movement. Copied and passed from hand to hand, they carried the sound of Goa trance back to cities like London, Berlin, and Tel Aviv. Western DJs like Paul Oakenfold got a hold of this music and were blown away. Oakenfold became a huge champion of the genre, releasing his legendary Goa mix on BBC Radio 1 in 1994, which introduced the sound to a massive global audience. Suddenly, the underground sound of a few Indian beaches was exploding across the planet. The party had escaped the lab. What started as an organic, anti-establishment gathering began to formalize. Record labels dedicated to the genre, like Tip Records, were founded. The music, once evolved, was now professionally produced. Goa Trance itself evolved, branching into subgenres like the energetic full-on, the mysterious dark psy, and the hypnotic forest psy. The name shifted from the specific Goa Trance to the broader psychedelic trance or psytrance, reflecting its new global identity. The Goa ethos also spread. The idea of the party as a spiritual ritual and a space for consciousness exploration became a core principle for the growing global rave scene. Major festivals today, like the Boom Festival in Portugal and even elements of Burning Man, owe a cultural debt to the rituals forged on Anjuna Beach. Goa Gill was no longer just a local legend, he was a global icon, the spiritual father of a worldwide movement. He spent the rest of his life as a touring DJ, a cyber baba bringing his trance dance ritual to every corner of the globe from Japan to Brazil. He and his wife Ariane even formed a musical project called the Nomos to keep pushing the sound he helped create. He remained a purist, a keeper of the flame. While the scene commercialized around him, his mission never changed. His focus, he always said, was to use the party as a medium to uplift consciousness. Through the trance dance experience, he stated, hopefully people will become more sensitive and aware of themselves, their surroundings, the crossroads of humanity and the needs of the planet. This is the essence of the longest party. It's not one single event, it's a mycelial network, a global tribe connected by sound and a shared experience. It's a party that has been raging in some form, somewhere in the world, every single weekend since it first spilled out of Goa. It's a chain reaction of consciousness set off by a handful of hippies on a beach, led by a man who was trying to do more than just play music. Gilbert Goa Gill Leve, the man who became Baba Mangalanand Giri, passed away from cancer in California on October 26, 2023, at the age of 72. His death marked the end of an extraordinary life that spanned continents, cultures, and consciousness itself. He was cared for in his final days by family and devotees, and his body was laid to rest as a sadhu, a final testament to the path he chose. Memorial temples are planned in his honor to ensure his spiritual legacy is remembered. But the party he started didn't end with him. The fire he lit on those Goa beaches now burns in countless places across the world. From one man's personal quest for enlightenment, an entire global culture was born. He took the failed idealism of the 60s, laundered it through the ancient spiritual traditions of the East, and recoded it into a new frequency for a new century. The story of Goa Gill shows that the most revolutionary ideas can come from the most unexpected places. He wasn't just a DJ, he was a world bridger, a techno shaman, a living link between our primal need for ritual and the technological pulse of the modern world. He succeeded in his mission to redefine the ancient tribal ritual for the 21st century. So the next time you hear that driving, hypnotic beat, remember where it came from. It's not just party music, it's the sound of a San Francisco hippie who became an Indian holy man, who stood on a beach and decided to use a synthesizer to talk to God. And in doing so, he invited the whole world to dance along. Share this story if you believe in the power of music to build worlds, and let us know in the comments, what does this music and this culture mean to you?